Welcome in, everyone. Welcome. I apologize for going live randomly here and there not being like a schedule or anything. At the end of the day, there's no schedule anymore, obviously, for obvious reasons if you've kept up with the channel, but uh it's nice to be back for a minute here because last night, oh my goodness, it was almost too beautiful in a way. Too beautiful to watch everything just come full circle. And all I could say is I was in the building last night too, which made it so much in a way better. In a way better. Obviously my wallet doesn't like it, but a little date night at the garden, so you got to do what you got to do. Um that made it worth it at least, but the game itself was obviously abysmal. I don't think I need to sell you that one. Being able to partake in the fire Drury Chants, I didn't start it. I didn't even start it. That's the thing that's funny. I didn't even start it. I sat back. I went into that game saying I'm going to just sit back and watch the shit show unfold. And then when the chant started, I obviously partook. But um, yeah, I mean, this things aren't great right now. That goes without saying. Things are not great in Rangerland, but truthfully, I've got to the point where I've gained the ability to not give a fuck. I gained the ability to not give a fuck when Braden Schneider can't complete a 10-foot pass because I expect it. I learned to not give a fuck about JT Miller and his bullshit, despite saying no BS and I'm a tough guy. Yeah. Right. I learned to not give a fuck. I've learned to not give a fuck when Mika Zibanejad stands in front of his locker and pretends that he cares with the fake tears. I've learned to drop giving a fuck about it all. Deep down in my heart, do I wish I could sit there and care about everything? Do I wish I was emotionally invested again in every little play that happens? Of course. Of course, I wish. But what am I going to do? What am I going to do at this point when this is what it is? When you have the owner going on WFAN with I think it was with Craig Carton and Big Mac. I think that's who he was on the fan with when he said it, saying, Chris Drury, he's a winner, and I have my full faith in him. This is good enough for you. This is good enough for you. I mean, that's why there's got to be fire Drury chants at every game from here on out if we actually want some sort of change. But I also understand that no one's going to the games really unless you are probably more of a casual fan. I'm not saying that all fans in the building are casual fans, but most of the fans that go are in that realm. So I understand it's unrealistic to happen every single game. But at the end of the day, it's the only way that a change might actually happen because this owner, for whatever reason, thinks Chris Drury is the guy to lead the charge. And the fact that he's going there saying, oh, I'm patient enough to wait and see what happens. This is the GM you're willing to be patient with and see what happens. This is the guy that you're willing to go into a potential rebuild / retool with. Nonsense. And I'm glad the people have woken up, though. That's the thing that makes me happy is that people have finally started to open their eyes and realize how much of a shit show this is. Because I'm sorry, like again, I'm not trying to sit here and say I told you so. I'm not trying to sit here and give myself a pat on the back. But this is why during the preseason I was pissed off. This is why after the first game I was pissed off with Lafreniere and said, I just don't see a number one overall pick in this kid at all. Like it's year 6 and there's nothing to tell you he is anything good. This is why dating back when they got JT Miller, I was pissed off when they acquired him because not the player, even though the player's not been good, but because of the fact that you're bringing in a guy who's going to start declining at any moment. You're bringing that guy in to turn the franchise around. I'm sorry, that never made sense. When you pulled the plug on the core essentially by getting rid of Barclay Goodrow, by getting rid of Jacob Trouba, you needed to go in a direction where you're getting younger talent. And your answer is to bring in a guy that caused so much drama in his previous destination, all of his destinations, I should say, including here being his first one. You brought that guy in, you brought your ex girlfriend back after years of not being together. And then not only that, you named him the captain. And say what you want, about how this group is soft and is what it is to begin with. Obviously, JT Miller, as we could clearly see, is not captain material. But imagine like you're working somewhere and you're with all your best friends and everything, and you've accomplished, I shouldn't say accomplished a lot, but like, you know, it's a good workplace for the most part. You like who you work with. And obviously, that was a problem to begin with because these guys are losers. But nonetheless, imagine that, and then, all of a sudden, your ex-girlfriend comes in and gets a promotion right away, despite being known to be toxic, despite causing trouble in previous workplaces. She comes in and gets a promotion where you work. Like, imagine that scenario laid out for you. That's what it is with JT Miller here. And they brought him in, and, he wasn't here for any of these conference finals appearances, and he gets the captaincy. Say what you want about these losers on the team. Say what you want about Panarin, Zibanejad, Trocheck, all of them. I hate all of them. Say what you want about them. That is going to rub you the wrong way in some degree, is it not? I don't know. To me, though, this is why, though, just going back to the root of the point, this is why when they brought Sullivan in, I didn't care because even if they got the new coach bump for a bit, I didn't care. I didn't. Because at some point, it was not going to matter. This is why when they brought David Quinn back on the coaching staff, I laughed my ass off. This is why when Igor Shesterkin got the contract that he did, I was sitting here saying, great, you're paying your goalie to lose games 3-2 instead of losing them 10-2, apparently, which we saw in Boston. Awesome. And then this whole thing too, that all of a sudden, oh, they might trade a first round pick for Kiefer Sherwood, and they might be buying and not selling. So let me get this straight. All right. So the years where the window was actually open, where they had the best regular season in franchise history that year, trading a first round pick, no. No, no, no. No. Can't do that. But all of a sudden, first round picks are on the table for Kiefer Sherwood. And we got to wait and see what this is up until that. Wait and see. You need to wait and see for a team that, here, let's see. Where are they in point percentage in the East? Dead last. Yeah, that's what I thought. Dead last, because every team has games in hand on them. Dead last. You need to wait and see on that. I mean, it's just absolute lunacy. And again, the fact that this GM has overseen so much, has been at the helm for so much stupidity, and they trust him. It's honestly to a point where it's just laughable. All he could do is just laugh off how stupid this is. I mean, that's just where we're at. And again, um, you know, I'm not sitting here trying to take a victory lap, but this is why I said all of the things that I have. It's because I saw all of this coming from a mile away. It's because it was clear as daylight. It was not to sit here and bitch for the sake of bitching like people thought it was. It was not to sit here and reach for things to complain about. Because, like I have said all along, I will be the first person to be the most obnoxious, annoying motherfucker if this team was good. I'd be the first person to sit back and enjoy the show. sit back and enjoy the shit show. But I don't know, the fact we got to see what we have with this team still going to the deadline. You're what, 50 games into the season? You need to see what you have. See what you have. Okay, sure. And then it's just so funny watching these other teams that pick up the former Rangers, and every time they beat the Rangers, just posting the pictures of the former Ranger players together in the dressing room. It's oh my goodness. I just I don't even know. I don't know. I'm just like kind of scrolling back to through some of my older live streams and videos just to like find if I'm missing anything that I want to talk about with just like points that I've made, but this team's gonna be in a shit spot for a long time. I mean, that's just the reality, unfortunately. And until Chris Drury's gone, nothing's going to change. Because the sad part is, even if they collect picks and sell at the deadline, I do not trust this general manager to make 3 first round picks and hit on them. I don't. I just do not at all. And then watch they win the lottery. Now that there's stuff about how McKenna might have like attitude issues and not be as good as we thought. I don't even know. I can't with it. All right. Sorry, I've neglected the comments. I thought I would just open and go into vintage style here, if you will, with the channel, rant a little bit. Cause again, as much as I've learned to not give a shit, there's obviously still the part of me that's pissed off because it's like I have this team inked on my body, jerseys on my wall, jerseys in my closet. And it's unfortunate that this is the state of it. It's just unfortunate. Dimitri, though, what's going on? Joining on your commute to work. I apologize that I am doing this at like 11 o'clock on a random Tuesday. I apologize. I would have done it last night. I was out in the city all last night after the game. Like I said, had a good time at least. Um, on the date. That was at least a win about last night. So yeah, other than that, absolute shit show, absolute train wreck. And yeah, that's why I'm going live now versus if I would have last night. Because I saw Matt, who's here, of course. Matt and Philk went live together, which I'm gonna watch the VOD of that when I can. But I would have joined them, just couldn't. But I'm sure that their show is great, so go check it out, obviously, on Big Apple Hockey's channel. It's going on Blue NYR. I'm doing better. Team wise, I'm doing better because I don't give a fuck anymore. But I also obviously, again, deep down, wish that it wasn't this way. Here are my 2 questions. Why does Drury have a job? And how do we come out of this mess? I don't have an answer. I don't. I really don't. And, as much as I'm sitting here saying Drury going is the first step of turning things around, who's to say Dolan's not going to bring in another lapdog? Who's to say Dolan's not going to try and microwave a chip the way he always has? Because at the end of the day, you're not going to win a Stanley Cup if you don't build your team the correct way, which is to supplement it with homegrown talent, and then you fill in around the margins, and you acquire your superstar once these guys start to like fully supplement themselves into the group. Not sign Panarin while these guys are still in juniors and while Kakko's in his rookie year. Not that. If you're going to do this the right way, you need an owner that is okay with that. And apparently he has patience for Chris Drury, but by the time he fires Drury, is it going to be a scenario where, yeah, I don't have patience anymore. I need to bring in a guy that could microwave me a championship right away. And then all of a sudden, you're stuck with your Barkley Goudreau contracts. You're stuck with your JT Millers, yeah, and all that other garbage. This is the team we all expected going into the season. I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, it is. Adam saying, I'd like to apologize. You were right. I was so right about this team. I appreciate that. I don't need apologies, even though I do appreciate them. But yeah, I mean, again, unfortunately, I was right. I wanted nothing more than to be wrong, but here we are. Here we are, and it's a shit show. What's going on, ZK? Appreciate it. I'm sure the Fire Drury chants were beautiful to hear. It's about time. It was absolutely beautiful to hear that. The boos, um, everything. And I'm hoping that last night, since we got the first like audible Fire Drury chants, it starts to get louder at each game. That's what the hope is with that. But again, I didn't even start it. Someone in my section did, and I appreciated them. Drury somehow the safest job in the NHL. It makes absolutely no sense, but yep. What's going on, Christopher? We are going to be okay, not the Rangers, but us people. The Rangers are fucked. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. Hope I'm not too late. Hope everything is well with you, Evan. You are not too late. What is going on, Wolf? This is what the Rangers are. No shame in admitting that. Yeah, and if you're still running away from it and you're still in on this team and you think that this is an outlier and they're going to turn it around and injuries are the reason, God bless your soul. God bless your soul. And all I could say, if you do feel that way, is if you're chalking this up to injuries, what makes you think as these guys get older, they're going to be able to stay healthy? What makes you think that? You think all of a sudden JT Miller, as he's getting older, is going to be an Iron Man? Fox, who clearly has something seriously wrong with that knee, that he's constantly being injured and going on IR. You think all of a sudden that's going to go away? Yeah, they're not great, Big Cat, at all. Fire Drury Chance doing the Lord's work. Yes, it is. Mike NY for life saying Rangers have downgraded to my third screen these days. They've been downgraded to folding laundry while watching the games, being on my phone, scrolling through TikTok through the games, playing video games and just having them on the side monitor over here, going to the gym and just listen to the radio or watch it on my phone while I'm getting a lift in. Kaylee, what's going on? Hornet, what's going on? Good seeing you. Good seeing both of you. We aren't rebuild or tooling. We will reload. Yeah, they'll reload. What's going on? Graves, 14th place in the East and a 489 winning percentage. Winning percentage, point percentage, whatever it is. The worst in the East, but yeah, Drury is building a great culture. He is a terrorist. Yeah, I have nothing to add to that other than it's just like, that was part of the Dolan quote too. Like, oh yeah, you can't build a culture overnight or whatever. It's like there needs to be some semblance of a foundation at least. And what's telling you there's some semblance of a foundation? You could tell me in 2019, 2020, when he wanted to start rushing this rebuild, you could tell me then, okay, that team was so fun to watch that, yeah, you know what? Maybe there is something going on here to where there's actually some sort of culture being built and I could buy into that. I can't subscribe to this though. You're telling me that I'm supposed to subscribe to guys whining in front of their lockers and not having answers every time? I don't even know. And you know what's so funny to me? The Meek is a Banajag quote. I want to pull it up too, but just to paraphrase. Oh, I actually found it. But he says, when you're a fragile group in a way where things haven't gone your way, I'm not standing here trying to make excuses for us, but it's trying to also explain what goes through your mind when things are not going for you. Maybe at times we're looking at someone else to solve the problem. For guys maybe looking, that doesn't work in this league. Awesome to admit a guy wearing a letter says this group's fragile. A guy wearing a letter that's been here the longest out of any player on this team. I'm not mistaken with that, right? He's the longest tenured Ranger now. It's hard to keep up with these days. But one of, if not your longest tenured player, is saying this group's fragile. But you have the owner saying we're building a culture and it doesn't get built overnight. You're out for lunch if you think that anything's going to turn around. And then him also talking about how it's like, oh, we knew, coming out of the second period, there would be urgency from Seattle. We just didn't know how to handle it. What do you need to see? What else do you need to say? I actually just, I can't understand for the life of me. I just can't. It's actually just unbelievable that you have the players saying these things. And then, JT Miller, obviously, do I even need to say there about, when he was asked about the dip in energy after the first period, he says, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. You don't know. But culture. Drury's a winner. Doesn't get built overnight, this culture. Unbelievable. It's truly unbelievable. I can't stand him. I can't stand seeing his stupid face. I just can't. But this is what the owner thinks is going to work, apparently. Thinks they're building a culture. Nothing screams culture like the captain not playing 100% and not having answers. And I would say that, that does fall on coaching a bit too. That, you didn't know how to handle going into that second period. After, like, that's the thing too. I was sitting in the building after that first period. I'm like, sitting there like, I'm surprised, but they're actually playing well right now. They actually had a good first period. I was sitting there in shock. Because before the game, I was like, do I place a bet on, under 3.5 goals or 2.5 goals for the Rangers? And then they come out scoring 2 right off the rip. I'm like, shit, good thing I didn't place that bet. Wrong about that one, though. I was wrong about that one because I don't know. I don't know why I thought they'd actually score more. I that was silly of me to assume there. But and honestly, I should have live bet Seattle the second it was 2-0 Rangers. But I'm getting distracted from the point here. Nonetheless, I would say it falls on coaching, which, partially it does because this is the guy that they wanted to bring in. And, he's going to change everything and galvanize this group. I don't know. I don't care about blaming the coach anymore. Like, Sullivan's been given the worst situation possible to where, I don't fault him for that. But I don't know. Schneider pinching when Trocheck was laying on his stomach was a perfect. Yeah, it just Braden Schneider stinks. He stinks. Like, oh my God. Watching him live, just constantly doing those pinches that you're talking about, not being able to make a 10-foot pass, which resulted in one of those goals against. I think it was the first goal. I didn't want him. I was just happy to unload Heedle. I was hoping to flip him, then make him the captain. I mean, I liked Philip Heedle personally, but I also get it that, like, with the concussions, it's hard to sit here and defend Philip Heedle and be like, yeah, they should have kept them around at that cap hit nonetheless. But I don't know. There's a popular New York Rangers YouTuber who claims his team is better than the team that won the President's Trophy. He's willing to die on that hill, and I had to unfollow him. I don't know who that is. God bless their soul, though. God bless their soul for being that delusional. They wanted to get JT so the players would implement his play. Many of us Ranger fans could have told you it wouldn't have worked and significantly age the core. Yeah. And again, yeah. But no, again, like, this is why I played the clips when they got him of him not back checking in Vancouver. And, the defense from the Miller fanboys was, well, they want him out of there. And, why should he care about playing for that team? Because if you are a leader, if you are who you think you are, which is Miller, yeah, the captain, if you are who you claim you are, you're laying your body out there and giving a fuck for a full 60. No matter what the situation is. You're not a captain if you're not doing that. You're just not a captain. And then, we see in Vegas this year him do the same thing. Oh my God, it was so funny to watch. JT Miller has become the quickest player I've hated. You know what's funny? I seriously I had a thought. I seriously was thinking to myself the last night, man, who do I hate more? Jacob Trouba or JT Miller? Who do I hate more? Think about how it's got to that point to where I have to sit here and question who I hate more between those two. Who do I hate more? I didn't come to a conclusion, if anyone was looking for an answer on that one, but pretty even race there. Hate all of them. God, we've missed you, Evan. I appreciate it, Kaylee. But I do hate all of them. I could count on one hand the players that I do not hate on this team right now. Sam Carrick, which I can't believe I'm saying because that's someone I was wrong about. I hated that signing. So, put my hand up there. Sam Carrick, Noah Laba, Jonathan Quick. I mean, Scott Morrow didn't do anything wrong, but he is what he is. I mean, the rest of them, it's just like, I can't. And Will Cooley, I mean, it's not to any fault of his own, but you had cats in this fan base saying, oh, yeah, we can't move him for Jason Robertson. Can't move him for Jason Robertson. Can't move him for a guy that's in the top of the league in goal scoring. We can't move a third line forward for that. You are sick in the fucking head. You are sick in the head if you actually said that. I can't. And then that's going to be another player where the value is going to diminish on him and then they'll move him. Like, we're seeing reports that now they want to move Lafreniere. Now the value's gone. And, Vinny Trocheck, I'm sure, is going to be the same thing. They should move him now while he actually has some value. But in 2 years, when he starts to be Barclay Goodrow 2.0, that's when they're going to decide, you know what, maybe we should move him. It's just the same thing over and over again. Chris Kreider, why not capitalize off him, when he's having big years right now that are probably not sustainable. And then, all of a sudden, yeah, last year, oh, now we'll move him. Now that he has no value, let's trade him now instead of moving him when there's actually some trade value to his name. You know, even Jacob Trouba, if you will, like, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and act like there was ever value with him, but it's just like it's always Chris Drury's just always late to the party. That's just what it is. Like he gets JT Miller too late, gets Gavrikov too late, and last night I was not thrilled with him. I mean, that's a contract that I don't know how that's going to age at this point. I don't know. I tried to sit here and defend Gavrikov earlier in the year. He has not been as good as I thought he would be, but winning culture, winning culture. And this is exactly the point, Matt. They're Igor merchants. Igor makes this team mediocre when they should be a lottery team, which for the direction this team should go in is significantly worse. That's a problem. And again, when they signed Igor to the contract, I said, you're putting yourself in a position where you are going to be the Minnesota Wild for years to come, where you're right on the outside looking in, or you're having a we're happy to be here playoff appearance. That's the situation you put yourself in. But you know what? Maybe I was wrong there, and maybe they're just flat out going to suck either way. And you know what? Great if they do. The only problem is, again, I don't trust this GM to make the right draft selections. Thank you, Danto, CD. I don't know what you want me to call you, but I appreciate that. This team sucks. Drury needs to be let go of ASAP, and I'm sick and tired of the fans who are sticking up for this shit show, saying they are only 6 points out. Whoever is sitting here like doing that, just box score watches and standings watches. Like, no actual sane fan could watch these games on a nightly basis. And if you do, and you sit here and think, you know, they're only 6 points back, they got a shot. Pass over whatever you're smoking. I'd love to share that with you. Would love to. Still remember how excited I was to hear that the Trouba contract was off the books just an hour later to overpay Igor 150% above market value. That was the chance. That was the chance to blow everything up, and they extended the goaltender the same night. Same night. Because we got to try to craft mac and cheese a championship instead of going through the process of making some quality mac and cheese. We got to make some craft mac and cheese. We got to make dino chicken nuggets instead of. All right, no, I shouldn't slander some dinosaur chicken nuggets here now, but you get the point that we got to expedite our way to a championship instead of doing it the right way. Yeah, protect the dynasty. Protect the dynasty to draft EJ Emery. Rangers are so much better than their play. Just wait at any moment. They will turn around and go on a heater. Trust in Drury. Hell yeah. Yeah. I've been sick of the team for a while, but it took the Boston game for me to finally say, fuck everyone, get rid of them all. Welcome aboard, Richard. It was so easy to predict if you weren't a blue teamer. Yep. Yes, it was. And they booed you for being right, Evan. Listen, I get it. I get it. When you hear someone that, you know, is talking shit about the team they love, I get it. I get how it could be annoying, but I always said, like, I am just being real with how I feel. And I would have been the first person to put my hand up and say, I was wrong if shit went the other way. Yeah, as long as the garden sells out, Dolan won't care. And, you know, that was the only thing that I felt guilty about with going to the game last night. But again, I actually enjoyed it. I was openly laughing my ass off. Yeah. It's like staying with your toxic boyfriend or girlfriend because they're reminiscing on the honeymoon phase. Exactly. Exactly that. It's like, you know, your girlfriend or boyfriend cheats on you and they cheat on other men as well. I think we're talking about JT Miller here, right? Cheats on other men or women as well, and you just still keep going back to the same person. Yeah, I never was a fan of bringing Miller back either. I never understood it. I never was able to sell myself that it made sense. And then to name him captain, and this is why going into the year, like, despite what I thought the free agent class maybe would be, which Chris Drury botched that as well. Despite all of that, it never made sense to me to name a captain after the year you just had last year and to give it to a guy that was here for half a season. Absolutely ridiculous. Us fans were negative. Who's a negative now? We have a crybaby for a captain who plays hurt. Sounds familiar. And he wears number 8 as well. Isn't that great? Buckle up for the next decade. Sit back and enjoy the show. Yeah, just need to embrace Drury and how awesome he is. Can't rebuild. We have 12 million goaltender and a ton of unmovable contracts. The only rebuttal I have to that is you could hypothetically, I mean, you trade Artemi Panarin at the deadline. That's a start. Vincent Trocheck, if we actually had some stones here, if Chris Drury had some stones here and would move him, and then, the biggest thing that would get guys to waive is if you go to Adam Fox, and I've never been, trade Adam Fox because I don't think he's good. And I still stand by the fact that, and it's clear as day they are far worse without Adam Fox. Look at when he came back for that brief little insanity run and he's quarterback in the power play again. But I'm not going to sit here and argue about Adam Fox because it's stupid, the narratives that he's not good. But you go to Adam Fox and say, we want to give you a chance to win somewhere. You grew up being a fan of this team, but we want to tear this down and give you a chance to win. You start to move those kind of players, things change. Things change quickly. And then guys will waive. But yeah, I mean, some of the contracts you're not moving. I mean, JT Miller, no one's trading for JT Miller. No one's trading for Mika Zibanejad. But at this point, I mean, if you're gonna suck for a while, you could retain some salary, but and then Gavrikov too. I mean, you're probably not moving that contract. Yeah, this is what's sad too. Like you said, that and like the point is that you guys are making that. Oh my god, I have a lot of comments to catch up on. I apologize, I am going slow. I'm going to try to go a little more rapid fire with these, but yeah, the next GM is set up for failure, no matter what. Last year they didn't give a shit. It was easy to make fun of them. This year they're actually trying, but they're mentally soft and bad at hockey. It's pathetic to watch. Yeah, and they go into training camp wearing no BS shirts. What shirt do they have on? So true, but at least Drury's firing would give hope for a future in 4 to 5 years. Yeah, that's really that's really about it. Do we regret firing Gordon? To me, yeah, I don't know. I always said it that I wonder what it would have been like. I still am convinced Jack Eichel's a Ranger if Jeff Gordon stayed for an extra year. I'm convinced. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what I thought. And I get it. Like, it's hard to sit here and, say Gordon was any better, but I don't know. I mean, look at what Chris Drury's doing. Look at what Montreal, though, is doing with. I know he's not, the GM there, but Montreal has something special brewing there with Jeff Gordon at the helm. I think a lot of it with Jeff Gordon was JD coming in and then, Dolan stepping in, wanting this team to accelerate the rebuild, which Didn't help either. Why are we even trying to sign Panarin? Because this general manager is a doofus. That's why. Wish Dolan would sell the Rangers to people who actually give a fuck about this team. I wish to. Drury prolonging this core he identified wasn't good enough 2 years ago is just killing this team for the next decade. It's just like I don't understand how you basically say you identified that it wasn't good enough, but then it's like, you know what? Keep the goalie around. Thank you, Wolf. I appreciate it. The Rangers ass backwards in a locked box, spinning in circle culture. What's going on, NWire for life? I appreciate it. First time I've heard fire Drury Chants from the broadcast. Yeah, because I see tweets that like it happens at games, but this was the first time it was loud. And again, I was um what's it called, the girl I was out on a date with. I'm just like, I am hoping that this is the night. Like this would be great if the night we're in the building together, the fire Drury Chants happen. How great would that be? And it happened. I said I wasn't going to initiate it. If it happens though, oh, joining in. Not even a question. Drury is a perfect example of how to run a franchise into the ground. Run a franchise into the ground and more. How to run it to the Earth's core. I wish that it would wish the chants got louder for that game too. Yeah, I don't trust Drury to evaluate a ham sandwich. Nonetheless, prospects coming up in the draft. Like, nonetheless, prospects that he might trade for at the deadline. Like, we're gonna get more of the Casey Tarantzas, who's doing so great right now. God help me. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Team was barely 500 with Igor and Fox. They could only do so much. And that's the sad part, though, is that, they probably think, or Dolan probably thinks, you know what, the injuries are the problem. Yeah, not a great year to make your first visit to the Garden, unfortunately. Not a great year. Still undefeated outdoors. Yeah, we won the what was it, the Cocoa Cup or whatever the fuck I don't even know, whatever bullshit that was. Yeah, and you know what the funny part about this is as well? When you lead the league in hits, it just means you don't have the puck. Yeah, Chris Drury did win a Little League championship. He knows a thing or two about winning. Yeah, finishing your checks doesn't equal grit. Not gonna make excuses for us. Makes an excuse. Never change. Mika pops. I mean, Gavrikov's been pretty good. I don't know. I was not thrilled with Gavrikov last night. Like that penalty that he took, no reason to in that one-on-one battle there. Like you got to play the body. I don't know. There are so many times where I'm just like, I don't know. This isn't the guy that I thought we were getting. He's not horrible. Like I don't want to sit here and act like he's a tire fire, but it's just not what I thought he would be. Mika's a leader on the team. All leaders got to look in the mirror. It's been a year and a half, and they're looking um, to not something on this team to fix it. You guys got to find the answers. It's just, it's sad, but culture, right? I'd rather Laba and Carrick have letters on their jerseys. Honestly, yeah. I mean, that's why when Sullivan took over, I was pissed off when Mika and Panarin kept their letters. Yeah, you and I both. I don't even care when they lose anymore. I really don't. I don't care when something bad happens in a game. I really just don't. Culture doesn't get built overnight. He's been here for 6 years. Year seven, Drury pizzas are gonna taste the best. Am I right? Yeah, maybe then they won't be overcooked. 6 to 7 years, everyone. Don't do the fucking hand gesture. I know you're doing it right now. Don't do it. Don't fucking do it. It was obvious they were gonna blow that lead last night. Once they went to the intermission up 2-0 and they didn't score more, yeah. Because there was part of me that was like, because they were still generating some chances in that first period where I'm like, maybe they're actually gonna freaking blow this open for a change. But then it would be funnier if they blew it and it was like a 3-0 lead or a 4-0 lead. But yeah, once they went into the locker room and it was 2-0, I'm like, they're blowing this. Appreciate trash, Panda. But yeah, the team is not good at all. Seattle puck line, make a goal, Eberly point. At least I made good money last night. Yeah, I regret not doing that. I said it too before the game. When I was making a bet, I'm like, Kako's gonna score tonight, but like, do I bet on him? But because I knew Eberly was gonna score. Eberly always scores against us. Like, what's going on, Super Stinger? Appreciate it. Hope all is well with you and everyone in the chat. Of course, that's been a while since I've got to talk to. Yeah, Schneider's just misunderstood. That's right. He's from Troy's nutsack. He's never leaving. He's still developing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's still developing. Guy's been quick out of multiple locker rooms and allowed the Pedersen drama to spread into the media. But yeah, this is the right guy to build around and make him the captain. What a joke. Like, did we forget what happened when he was here the first go around? That's just the funniest part to me. Like, short term memory. At this point, JT, gotta be Truba. Yeah, which eight do you hate more? It's just like I don't know. Shit versus diarrhea at this point. And this is fair that Truba cost them playoff games. Oh my god, some of these comments. Yeah. Yeah. Who were those captains picked by? Mr. Winner. Mr. I'm a winner. Mr. Culture himself. Starting to hate Lafreniere the most. Yeah, he fucking sucks. He sucks. And this was the thing too, like, I don't understand. This was one of my problems going into here is why are you putting Will Cooley in the top six? Why are you putting Will Cooley in a role that does not suit him? I never understood that. I just did not. Couldn't move Meeker or Laffy for Eichel. Couldn't move Othman for Gensel. Do I dare go on? You know what the sad part is? That wasn't even the offer they needed to get Jack Eichel. If you remember, the offer that they did not want to do to get Jack Eichel was Filipino, Vitaly Kravtsov, Neil Zogquist, and picks. That's what they didn't want to do. That's the trade they didn't want to make. A player that's in the KHL, player that is in and out of the lineup in Dallas, and a player with concussion issues who was a fringe 2C at his best. And again, I like Heedle when he's healthy, but and obviously at the time you didn't know it was going to get this bad with the concussions, but if we're picking between Heedle and Eichel, yeah, this is what's sad. The only players to get excited about have third line ceilings. What's going on, NY Nobody? Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well as well. And yeah, it does suck that it's under these circumstances. I'm thinking about doing these live streams a little bit more often. Where I just sit and talk, like maybe once a week type thing, or like every other week. I don't know. I can't promise that that's going to be a thing. Um, yeah, I don't know. And this is also the problem, though. Like, listen, I can't sit here and disagree with this. That I don't trust Troy to rebuild. Um, and that was the thing, though. Like, that's why I said the Igor contract happened. It was Drury's way to put a band aid on a bullet wound, and for Drury to try to keep his job. Yo, Two Cats, what's going on? Glad to see you're live and doing good, buddy. On another note, this is the worst Ranger team I've watched personally. You and I both. They make me miss Rob O'Gara right now. Miller reminds me of Matt Harvey, just a garbage attitude, but potential to be something. Honestly, that's a very fair comparison. Yeah, even if the Rangers are in the top five, Drury will probably botch the pick. Moving Trocheck and Bread will just mean Drury getting the wrong pieces and overpaying with full no move clauses, and then picks that can't skate, not hiring the right skill coaches. That's why, like, again, as much as I want to rebuild, they're fucked no matter what until this general manager goes. They are fucked no matter what. I would have been dying at Marc's rant. Um, if you guys want, I could put up that portion of the live stream. If you want, I could react to it. I got time right now. I could just do a live reaction to that. Yeah, injuries are a problem. So 10-2 losses are acceptable. The Marc rant was legendary. Oh, the meat locker rant. He was in the meat locker doing the rant. That's even better. Yes, I should watch it. All right. I'll watch let me find the live stream real quick and I'll skip to Marc's meat locker rant. Yeah, the Rangers do need some semen shakes in that dressing room, Andrew. You're not wrong. All right. Let's see. Get the headphones on. If they want to work. There we go. Where is it? Share screen. Final buzzer. All right. Let's skip to. Oh, he joined early on too. Okay. Marc with the glasses too. Oh boy. Oh boy. I could tell from Philk and Matt's faces. This is about as funny.
Whoa, where we have my captain,
Marcus, Sir Marcus.
Before I keep going, the audio is good for the video, right? I want to make sure before I play the full video. Just to confirm. Because I don't want the audio to be messed up. Let me know if it's like too quiet, too loud, whatever. Good? Good? Okay.
Is that the
Tell me now, guys.
meat locker?
Yeah, right back by the fridges yet again.
Wait. Is Chris Drury a bad GM? Phil, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go beer here, I guess, because I don't want to say Lob City and all that other jazz and get the hoop and break some backboards or anything. But yeah, I would say there was
Matt
some
has a
chants
great
here
rant. I'll get
tonight.
to that after too.
You heard them, I heard them, we all heard them. Oof, man, people finally starting to call for that man's head.
Well, it's about fucking time. And the short answer on it is, guys, no, he's not a bad GM. It's just that, just like the Roman Empire, you collapse on your own decadence eventually. And that's what this guy is. You know what? You didn't want to get, by the way, my wife is texting me as I'm on this. So that's awesome.
Oh God.
Doing a quick cameo and getting out of here. But they tried to speed run this rebuild. You didn't invest in your first and second overall picks. By the way, guys, did Capo Caco have a video tribute? Because they gave one to everyone on the fucking earth. Anybody? Did he have a video tribute? Did we see?
I think he had a video.
No,
tribute.
I think he had a.
I was in the building. Yeah, no video tribute for him or Lindgren. It was both just like thank you messages.
Just like him and Lindgren both had a thank you and then a
Yeah.
Okay, because he deserves a video tribute. You know why? With the way he was treated by this organization, and then he gets an assist tonight.
All right, can't agree with that part.
Didn't have a point? Everyone else on the Rangers. They came out.
Marc has such a soothing voice, looking snazzy with those glasses too.
They were so full of pride. They went up 2-0, and they coughed up that lead. They couldn't cough it up fast enough in the second. Seriously, if I hear one more Ranger fan online, away, wherever one you want to say, the ones that want to say the words, they're just a run. There's no run coming. The run is coming in the other direction. They need to rebuild. Artemi Panarin, get out of New York. Bye. And don't ever come back. Thanks for the memories. Mika Zibanejad, go DJ the rest of your life. That's what you want to do. And good news, you're producing. How about having some balls to finish a game? And JT Miller, what a captain. What a captain. I am so full of pride seeing JT Miller on the ice. And I just want to say this yet again. Who's the one that first guessed bringing him back? Now the captain.
I was very, very much wrong on
I'll put my hand up with you, Marc.
Normally we do the whole Marc messed up thing. Marc did not mess up there. Oh, no he didn't.
No, because there's a reason. It's you don't bring back former players in that way. And you still don't bring him back. And Alexei Lafreniere, like, just he needs to change the scenery. I can't wait till he pops 30 goals somewhere else.
I don't know. Like I don't know. I get your point, Marc, but I don't know about that part happening. Like Lafreniere just flat out fucking sucks. Like I don't see anything in his game. Like it's not like it's I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see anything that tells me even if he goes elsewhere, he'll be good.
Jed Ortmeyer, leave. You guys saw the video I made on the Rangers front office. Everybody, Do not. Everybody needs to be fired. Secretaries, office workers.
Secretaries. He wants the secretaries fired. I'm fucking
Everybody
crying.
needs to be fired. Secretaries, office workers, the sick boy. They all need to go. Everyone. Find somebody from a winning organization, not Glenn Sather.
He said secretaries, probably. Sorry.
Secretaries, everybody. Do not. Everybody needs to be fired. Secretaries, office workers, the sick boy. They
The
all
sick
need to
boy.
go. Everyone.
Oh my
Find
god.
somebody from a winning organization, not Glenn Sather, not freaking any of these idiots that are involved. Goodbye. Goodbye forever. Get rid of everyone. And don't let them back in the building, even if they forgot, like, their wedding photos. That's how bad this organization is.
Fire the hot dog guy.
Fire the hot dog guy.
You gone.
Holy
gone.
shit.
Oh my god. This is
I needed
great.
that
I needed
Marc.
this Mark. I needed
that Marc
this
for a minute.
Mark Williams rant right now.
Fire the secretaries
my
is
God.
so
By
hilarious.
the way,
It's
for
just-
everybody watching, we're doing our mid-season awards this week.
Yeah, the mid-season losers, the New York Rangers. What a
You know what?
joke of a team. You
You
know
know
what?
what?
Here's the craziest part. I keep asking when
Okay, no. Could I just say something about Kaylee's comment here? Like, this pissed me off so much more than it should have last night. Like, I didn't care about anything. The on-ice play, everything else, like, I really didn't give a fuck. Dancing Larry, it needs to stop. Like, I'm sorry. It needs to stop. Just
rock
stop.
bottom.
Like, stop dancing when this team is in rock bottom right now.
When's
Just
rock
stop.
bottom? When is it? You know, you get absolutely.
Although Phil's making a good point. Like, we're not even at rock bottom yet, and we're fucking far in the deep end.
shellacked by Boston. Anyone ever play NHL 2002 here? Remember the line that the
Someone made the comment Drury would burn a salad, and Phil loved
crazy
it. That's
guy from
also true.
NHL 2002 says, "Oh, this is the worst shellacking I've seen since my pancake incident." This is literally the Rangers right now. Literally the
Okay.
Rangers. And nothing is happening. But you know what did happen in the NHL? Columbus, out of
Yeah,
nowhere,
Larry should just stick to weddings, birthday parties, whatever.
fires Dean Evison
Y-
after
yeah.
they win a game. They win a game and they fire him and they bring in Rick Bowness. That's an organization that wants to actually do something and change things up. And here we are sitting with Connecticut's pizza boy, you know, with a thumb up his ass, doing who knows what, saying, "Yes, sir, may I please have another," to James Dolan, who has no idea of what's going on with hockey. Has absolutely no clue, doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
Brandon, by
So-
the way, I just want to say, don't
Not wrong.
cancel the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award.
Dancing Larry's
'cause Will
fireman,
Foley's
Ed,
still
yeah.
trying. Noah Lava's still trying. There's other guys that are still trying. Problem is, the rest of the team just isn't that good. That one's on the GM. Let me just leave you guys with these two things.
Yeah, honestly, this comment too, Brandon G. I don't know if you're in here because I know you watch my streams too. Yeah, like no Stephen McDonald award this year. Please no.
One,
Please
if
no.
you can't, if you to alter the Rounders quote a little bit, if you look around and you can't find the Kevin Adams in the room, you're Kevin Adams.
Big
You're
city
Kevin Adams now, Chris Drury. And secondly, this isn't going to be rock bottom, guys. I got to get back to work. But this isn't going to be rock bottom. You know why it's not going to be rock bottom? Phil hit the nail on the head. Nothing is going to happen. He's still the GM tomorrow. You cannot trust him with a rebuild. You cannot trust him. You can't trust him to order a pizza. You can't. I wouldn't trust him to order a fucking pizza. What do you think I should get, Chris? Well, you know what? I really think you should get something from Seattle and then sign it to 5-year extension. What?
After 17 games,
That's
nonetheless.
already the answer.
And a no trade clause.
No
Yeah,
trade.
give it a no trade clause. Everybody gets a no trade clause.
Yeah, give him out like
Seriously, Chris Drury, if you gave him a pizza, he'd come back with like sushi on it.
Oh, I said this the other day on Twitter. I've said this several times on Twitter, and I get chewed out for it. I say Matt Renton.
Yes. Like I've hated Braden Schneider for years. I hated the draft pick. I fucking hate Braden Schneider. I've hated him for years, and every time it's just like, oh, give him a chance, give him a chance. There's a reason this guy's buried on the third pair.
Not an NHL player. I get chewed out for it. What is this fan base's obsession with players who their only positive attribute is hitting?
How about this, Phil? Let's be honest about something else. This fan base did not want to acknowledge what Sean Avery was done. They all just wanted to go, Sean Avery wasn't interested in hockey anymore.
Okay.
They're like, oh, Sean Avery.
There were people that were trying to say that Matt Rempe had an Avery-like effect on that lineup, and they were trying to compare him in that regard. There is no way.
Maybe a little bit, but really not as much. And again, I got to get back to work because, we're talking about Braden Schneider because that's proof, yet again, Jeff Gorton wasn't that great either. Everybody wants to keep on kissing Jeff Gorton's ass right now, but he wasn't drafting right either. He wasn't building a team. That was one of JD's guys.
Well, listen, I can't rebuttal that, but also like that Schneider pick did seem like it was JD more. It did. He's the one that did the fist pump and said, "Oh, the next Victor Hedman."
You cannot develop if they're right. If scouting is right, then they can't develop. So that's why you got to fire both of them. That's why they all got to go. Every one of them. Guys, thank you very much for listening to me.
All right, wait. When was Matt? I don't know if you're still here. When was your rant, or when was the rant you guys were talking about from Matt being good? Because I want to listen to that. If someone has the timestamp for that, like, is it early or later? It was when Phil went off for a little bit. You have to skip ahead. Okay, so Phil was not on the stream for a bit. Oh, Jim joined last night. Damn, how far ahead is this? Wait, what tweet did they put up?
If it takes eating some of his salary to get a better...
Oh, Vince. Wait, you said Phil? Oh, there it is. Okay. So it's around here?
By step away.
Just it goes back to the point, and it's another point of what we were talking about earlier, where how easily this team folds. And you could have easily identified this like earlier on, like going back to 22, 20.
It was 20 minutes. Yeah. All right, wait. Was it actually 20 minutes long? Because I'm gonna probably go to 1.25 speed then. But
23, 24. And listen, like how that season played out in 2022, right? And when you look at the playoff runs, right, where they overcome Pittsburgh, they come back down from a 3-1 deficit. They were able to overcome Carolina. And you look at the Tampa Bay series, right? Okay, they go up 2-0, and then they lose game 3, game 4, game 5, game 6, and they fold, especially after that Jacob Trouba disaster class in game 3, where he single-handedly pretty much threw that series towards Tampa's way. But you could kind of look at it from a perspective, okay, it's a young group, it's a young team, it's a learning experience. We'll go on from here. Let's see how they react and go forward. Okay, fine. I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm sure every single one of us in the chat did that. But then you go ahead, you look at the next season, you see how that season started in 22-23, with them pretty much kind of starting the season where they were last year, and now where they were this year, where they were kind of barely of a 500 team. And the fact that it took a helmet throw from Jacob Trouba to wake them up, again, that is very alarming. And then again, you go into the playoffs, you add guys, leaders, winners like Vladimir Tarasenko, Patrick Kane, and then you get into the playoffs, you play the Devils in the first round, you smoke them in the first 2 games of the series, you win 10-2 on aggregate, 5-1 winning game 1, 5-1 winning game 2. And then you look at how pretty much that series just unfolded after that, where they lose game 3 and game 4 back at the Garden. They get embarrassed in game 5 at the Rock. And then game 6, they win. And then game 7 was pretty much a rinse and repeat of game 5, where they didn't even show up for that game because they got smoked 4-0. And then the fact that Jacob Trouba and the group had the audacity to go to go to Chris Drury and tell him that they need to essentially get rid of Gerard Gallant because he's holding them to a higher standard and he's calling them out. Right there, that should have signaled that this team doesn't have it. And listen,
and that's when I started to question this group. It's like when you have the players crying about the coach, like Gerard Gallant was a moron in his own right in certain regards, But that's when I question, you know, what is it with this group? What is it?
What you want about Gerard Gallant, right? To me, his time ran its course. He wasn't a great coach. He made plenty of mistakes. Fine, 100%. I fully agree with that, and I fully agreed with him getting fired. But the fact that first big warning sign wasn't realized after that major point to where you blew
He's
that
not
series
wrong.
in the fashion that you did, and then you're going to the general. Sorry guys, my camera went out. But the fact that you're going to the general manager and basically complaining and hoping that he could get rid of Gerard Gallant, like right there, that is piss poor culture. That is not a winning culture. Do you guys think anyone on Florida would do that to Paul Maurice? Do you guys think anyone on Tampa would do that to John Cooper? Do you guys think anyone in Colorado?
Yeah, no, and you know what? You know what JBB would say if anyone said that about Cooper? Get the fuck out of my city. Get the fuck out of my city. To the players, he'd say that, not to John Cooper.
No, they wouldn't. But here, where it's we have to protect our star guys, even though they didn't win anything. No, like I said, right there, that should have been the first sign that this group was not good enough. And then they go into 2024, they start off great, they win the President's Trophy, and then boom, they meet a team that's better than them in the Florida Panthers, and they get absolutely smacked around. And they lose in 6 games. And I don't want anyone to hear anyone say, "Oh, but they only lost 6 games." No, you actually watch that series closely, and you look at how that series played out.
Should not have been.
For Igor Shesterkin,
Yeah, should not have been.
Swept in that series, 100%.
6-game series.
The final nail in the coffin, and like what we stated earlier, when you go into the offseason and the guys on that roster are bitching and complaining that a fourth-line center in Barclay Goodrow got waived because the team failed. I mean, again, how many warning signs did you realize, or did it take to realize that this group was not good enough to win? And then we had the whole barbecue thing, Jacob Trouba thing, and then
the barbecue thing. Oh my goodness.
The whole Kreider.
Also, wait, sorry, I'm just like going through Twitter. I just opened my phone for a second. The Diamondbacks might be getting Nolan Arenado. What a weird move.
This group of guys was not assembled to win, and it goes back to the ultimate Gerard Gallant point of what he said at the end of Game 7 in 2023, where sometimes it's not all about talent. You need more than talent to win a Stanley Cup. And you know what? Like I said, we can have all our faults. We can have all our faults with Gerard Gallant, and he deserves to get fired. But you know what? That statement, he was 100% correct. Because yes, you can say that this team has had talent throughout the last couple of years. I'm not going to sit there and deny that. They've had talented players. But you know what? Those talented players do not have the buy-in to do what it takes in terms of winning a Stanley Cup. Because a guy like Artemi Panarin, sure, put up 120.
Circle rank in the playoffs. Circle rank.
You come to playoff time. Nothing. Disappeared. Oh, but I'm sorry. He scored a garbage goal in Game 6 against the Panthers. My bad. Yeah. How dare you, Matt? Artemi Panarin for him.
Put him in the rafters. Best free agent signing. How could you?
Showing up, when basically
fuck you.
And the series is over. Yeah. How could I throw him under the bus right there?
Fuck you.
It's a joke. And again,
cancel Matt.
It's a cycle after cycle after cycle with this franchise because they keep on making the same mistakes over and over again, where they coddle these guys that have won nothing. You know what?
And the same mistake of relying on the goaltender to try and win. You can't build from the net out. That was my other point that I wanted to bring up earlier that I said with Igor too. You cannot build from the net out. They tried this with Lundqvist. What makes you think you're doing it with a lesser goaltender? What makes you think?
If you want to be coddled and you want to be taken care of, how about you actually do something for this franchise and actually win something for this franchise? Because you know what? Like, let's go back to the Tampa Bay Lightning, for example. Steven Stamkos, their all-time franchise leading player in goals, assists, a guy that's a first ballot Hall of Famer, a guy that's going to have his number retired in the rafters. You know what Tampa and Julian Breezeball said to Steven Stamkos after he had pretty much a down year after that 23-24 season? They said, "Thank you for all your service. Goodbye. We'll move on and we'll bring in a guy like Jake Gensel, who is younger. Maybe will never be, will never be to the ceiling as what Steven Stamkos is a player. But you know what? He's younger. He fits our mold, and he fits well with what we're trying to do here.
Fits the window.
That's what a winning organization does. Not what the Rangers do in terms of rewarding guys for failure. Because, again, and it just goes back to the point. The fact that Jacob Trouba was not forced out after he made those comments, and the fact that he basically said that he was going to refuse to go to whatever trade destination he was going to, right then and there, it's like, bro, like.
My only counterpoint with that, Two Cats, is that, I can't feel bad for Igor when he signed up for this. He should have left, but he knew no one else was giving him that money. He knew it.
First of all,
that's why, like, whenever there's that argument that, another team would have gave him $11.5 million. No, they wouldn't have. Why would he settle there and not test the market? Why would he not test the market then at that point?
Get some
Tell me that.
self-awareness. You're not a great player. You're an overpaid.
He was
defenseman,
never getting
and you're
that.
a joke of a leader. First of all, let's get out of the way. So
It's like when, like, I feel bad that Mike Trout's wasting his career in Anaheim, but like, it's hard to feel bad when he willingly signed that extension in Anaheim. You know what I mean?
Maybe man up, realize that you're not as good as what you think you are, and go, okay, fine. This organization needs a change of scenery. Let me go elsewhere. But no, but then that also goes back to the point of Chris Drury. And again, it's lack of leadership. Because like I said, if Chris Drury was an actual leader and he actually had balls, he would have said to Jacob Trouba,
No, he's a winner.
On waivers, you can either accept the trade somewhere. Sorry guys, why my camera went out? Why it went out again? But he could have said, okay, you're either going to be traded, accept the trade somewhere, or you're going to sit in Hartford and you're going to play down in the AHL. But he didn't do that. And he basically let him come back on his own terms. And right there, that just shows you that this organization from top to bottom has no leadership, because James Dolan is not a good leader. He is not a good owner. He's just not. When you don't let your franchise actually properly operate like a franchise and you just let them rot down to the core, that tells you that you're not a good owner. When you have a guy like Chris Drury, who is basically bitching down and getting run over by the players on this team, tells you you're not a good general manager. And then when you have multiple captains like Jacob Trouba, like JT Miller now, when they always go on these post-game media scrums after every single piss poor game that they had, and they keep making excuse after excuse after excuse, and say, oh, it's just one game. It's just one game. We'll go into practice tomorrow. We'll get it all figured out. No. How about actually hold the players accountable? How about actually hold yourself accountable for once? Because I get it. The captain, the captain should be holding everyone else accountable. But you know what? Sometimes as a captain, you have to look yourself in the mirror and say that I'm not playing to the level that I'm supposed to play at. Because a guy like Nathan MacKinnon, because let's go back to Nathan MacKinnon. The season right before the Colorado Avalanche and Nathan MacKinnon won.
How about, before you even go about this, I don't know if you bring this up, Matt, but like, how about Nathan MacKinnon monitoring everyone's diet on the team? Like, how many stories have we heard about Nathan MacKinnon watching everyone on the team's diet? I'm not saying a captain has to be that extreme, but like, a cat like him is different. Like, he's just different from the rest of them.
By the Vegas Golden Knights, and Nathan MacKinnon, a guy that had already proven himself up to that point as one of the superstar centers in the NHL. You know what he said to the media? He said, "I haven't won a goddamn thing in this league, and I need to be better." That's Nathan MacKinnon.
And you know what else? I don't know if you bring this up either, but you know what else? And this is a point you've made before, Matt. The difference with a group like Colorado, when they were getting bounced early in the playoffs, it was never the star player's fault. It was never McKinnon. It was never Rantanen. It was never Landeskog. It was never them. It was the supporting cast and the pieces around them. The difference is with this Rangers group, it always fell on the core pieces. Every playoff failure fell on the core pieces. And that's a point Matt has brought up numerous times. That's the difference.
A heart-winning center.
But again, I don't know if you brought that part up with this, but
a guy that also, when all said and done, is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He said, "I need to be better. I haven't won a goddamn thing in this league." But a guy like JT Miller, a guy that's been thrown out of multiple organizations, a guy that has caused drama in multiple organizations, he goes, "Nah, yeah, we'll go into practice tomorrow and we'll figure it out." That's the difference between leadership in a strong franchise and a winning franchise, and a franchise that knows what they're doing, compared to a franchise that is lost and throughout its history has always been known as losers. Because it's like my dad always says, it's not a coincidence that in 100 years of history of this franchise that they only have 4 Stanley Cups. It's not a coincidence, because they make the same mistakes over and over again, and they don't learn from them. And it seems like they don't want to learn from them, because they never actually take a step back and say, you know what? Sometimes these things don't go.
And yeah, even though it was the supporting cast, MacKinnon always put it on himself.
Sometimes these things don't work out.
He didn't call for what's his name job, Bednar.
Maybe we have to change our philosophy. Maybe we have to change our strategy in terms of scouting, development, player identification. Maybe we have to actually change that. But they don't. And that's why this franchise.
Yeah, 3 cups when there's only 5 other teams in the league. Yep.
Something actually changes. And listen, I know, like me personally, I know like Phil, I know like all you guys in the chat, I know you guys want James Dolan to sell the team. Listen, it's not going to happen. Listen, if it does happen, I'm going to throw a party, but it's not going to happen. He actually needs to wake up and realize that, oh shit, this franchise is not going in a direction that it should be, and this franchise is currently lost right now. But like
going on unknown.
James Dolan, the only thing he gives a shit is about playoff revenue. And when you only care about playoff revenue and you only care about first round playoff appearances, you'll never build the right way. You won't. And the 2018 letter and that so-called rebuild, it should have told you everything from there what this franchise was about. Because instead of actually doing something properly and doing something that actually takes time to do it, and I'll read your guys' comments in a second. I just want to get to this final point. But it pisses me off that there's this narrative that you cannot rebuild in New York. 100% bullshit. You can 100% rebuild properly in New York. You know what? You know what people don't have in New York? They don't have patience. They want everything thrown at them right away. You know what? When you look at
the thing that makes no sense too about the narrative is like the Garden is filled every night for this garbage, for this team that has no semblance of a direction. The Garden still is packed. You're telling me if they came out and said, you know, we're going to rebuild, we're going to do things the right way, you're telling me that, you know, they would, like, we wouldn't be filling the building still and sitting back and being patient? You're telling me we wouldn't? I'm telling you right now, this team says they're rebuilding. I'd show up to games again often. I know I was there last night, but like I'd show up to MSG more often than I have over the past 2 seasons now. It's just the truth. You go out there and say, we want to accrue young assets and we're going to, you know, hit the restart button. Sign me up. Sign me up and I'll be in the building because you know what? Maybe there's going to be players that are worth a damn watching. Do you sit here and say, I can't wait to go watch Alexi Lafreniere at the Garden? Do you sit here and say, I can't wait to watch Braden Schneider play hockey? No one says that. No one does. And if you do, you're a liar.
Look at the franchises that have actually won. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't. It took time, and it took time to actually develop a culture, and it took time to actually scout, recruit, develop players, draft them.
We had a very small 3-year window to get the job done. Didn't happen. Time to rebuild. They never should have signed Igor to that deal. 1,000,000%.
You cannot go
1,000,000%.
from one day in loser organization to the next day being the next dynasty and winning 4 Stanley Cups in a row. It's not going to happen. You actually have to commit to a plan, and this franchise will never do that because it's all about, ooh, star player here. Let me get him. Ooh, let me get this guy, even though he doesn't fit our system. He doesn't fit our philosophy.
And that's the sad part, Mike. There's no rebuild coming. Not at all.
Sometimes it's not about the names.
That's a scary part.
It's about the name on the front, not the name on the back. I don't care. Yes, I get it. Everyone wants superstar players on their team. 100%. I would love if Connor McDavid would have.
And how do you get those superstars? How do you get a McDavid? How do you get a McKinnon? How do you get a Celebrini? A Bedard? How did those guys get to their teams? Not through free agency. How do you get him a car?
But you know what? It's about the name on the front. And you actually have to look at yourself as an organization and realize and have the self-awareness to say, this is not working. Let's change something. But like I said, this franchise doesn't do that. They don't.
Nope.
But yeah, I mean.
And again, that was a great rant. That was 10 out of 10. It's just like you can't sit here and say, you know, oh, I want these players, but then rely on free agency to get them. You're not getting those superstar players that way. You just have to draft them. You have to draft these players. That's the only way. That is the only way you could actually build a winning organization. Look at what the Islanders have done since they got Matthew Schaefer. And this is like the first time in my life I'm sitting here jealous of the Islanders. It's the first time in my life I'm jealous of the Islanders. They get Matthew Schaefer first overall. Look at what it's done so far for that team. And they still have young pieces coming through. And if I'm not mistaken, they have multiple first-round picks in this upcoming draft, too. Like, I'll double check. Yeah, they have Colorado's first this year. They still have draft capital. They have a farm. And they're not stopping. This is how you build a winning team. Jeff Passan breaking the news that the Diamondbacks officially got Arenado. So that's interesting. Sorry, I just saw that happen now. But anyway, yeah. Again, who was the last superstar free agent to be in their prime? You could argue Panarin. You could argue it, even though he doesn't do anything in the playoffs. That's where Drury fucked us up. He thought this free agent class coming up was going to be his chance to salvage everything. And this also, I mean, the Islanders are set up. That's the scary part too. Like, even if they don't use these prospects to supplement their roster, they could use these guys as trade pieces to get a young superstar when they become available on the trade market, because that's the only other way you win, like Vegas did when they landed a Jack Eichel. Or, if Jason Robertson becomes available, the Islanders have ammo to go get a Jason Robertson or whoever the young star might be. Rasmus Dahlin, like, does he become available? I know Buffalo's been on a heater, but, if Buffalo misses the playoffs, something might change there. I don't know why I just went to that screen. My fault, guys. But yeah, the reality is you just yeah, you just cannot win a championship unless you do it the right way. And this team, they're never going to do it the right way. That's the harsh reality. They're never going to build this team the right way unless Dolan sells the team, or by some miracle, Drury goes and they actually bring in a competent GM, and Dolan actually has the patience for them to rebuild. Which, does anyone have faith in that happening? I sure as hell don't. I sure as hell don't. It's disappointing. It's very disappointing. This team is just stuck in purgatory. And one word, this team is dysfunctional. Who would want to come to this team? That's another point that I've made for a bit now. It's like, even if those superstars hit the market, why would they want to come here? Why would they want to come here at all? I still need to watch Nick's video, because he did like a whole video about the post letter, and how this has been like a failed error or whatever. I still gotta watch that, because I was gonna do something similar though too. Like I said, I think last year, that when it comes down to it, by the end of this core, I'm kind of just waiting it out for Panarin to hopefully get traded. I want to make a video talking about how this group, the failures of this group, and do like a retrospect on the entire rebuild, or, the letter, the post letter, whatever it is. Nick's video is great. I mean, I could watch it, right? It's 40 minutes, but maybe I could put on 1.25 and watch it right now. Just because I'm also tired of yapping a bit. But let's watch it. Shout out to Nick though, man. Shout out to Nick. Um, so definitely check the video out as well. I don't want to sit here and, just take. Why is it not letting me change the playback speed? Hang on, let me try to refresh this. I don't want to sit here and just show the video without you guys watching it. So go watch this on your own without me talking over it. Because Nick deserves the support. Yes, the Google slide presentations. He's the king of that with the welcome the Rangers town in the background.
This is weird. It's been a long time since I sat in front of a camera and did this. It's been 6 months since I did it with friends. Since I did it by myself.
Is this playback speed up? Yeah.
I guess it's been 2 years. I guess it's literally been 2 years since I.
Yeah, I got to speed up more. I mean, Nick's very he doesn't talk fast like me. God bless his soul.
I sat in front of a camera.
He's very
and pressed record
articulate.
And talked about the Rangers by myself. It's crazy. Lots changed in 2 years. Lots changed. I'm married. My wife and I bought a house.
No way. I was there. I was there for that.
Dog.
No way.
You could tell. Still in the process of moving in. Anyways, we're not here to talk about me.
I can't.
Nick. We're here to talk about the Rangers. Yeah. Anyone catch that game yesterday? I did. I caught it. I wish I didn't. I wish I wouldn't have, but I did. And it was so bad. It was so bad that I actually had to come out of retirement and for the first time in 2 years, park my fat ass in front of a camera to sit and talk about the New York Rangers.
Hey, same with me.
So weird.
After last night.
So I'm actually kind of excited to do this. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I'm gonna do it often. I'm probably not. I think I just need a vent. I need somebody to talk to about this.
Felt that.
The New York Rangers post-letter era. I think I made this 11 or 12 slides. It only took a couple hours to make this. Kind of missed making these. It's kind of fun. But we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk, you and I. And we're gonna talk in the comments. We're gonna talk in the video. We're gonna talk all times everywhere. And I can't even fucking make sense right now. But I'm talking. I'm yapping. I'm yapping. Just shut up and talk, Nick. Talk about the Rangers. Yeah, we all want to do that. Anyways, the post-letter era. First and foreskin, you got to talk about the letter, right? In the year of our Lord, 2018, on February 8th, penned by Rangers president Glenn Sather and general manager Jeff Gordon. As a member of the Blue Shirts, I'm not reading it. Everyone's already fucking read it. Just look at it. Just look. You know what it is. All right. Here's the skinny. They finally acknowledge that their era of compete is over, and they commit to pressing the reset button and starting anew. Being a Rangers fan, consciously remember being a Rangers fan since about 2002, 2003. I remember when the Rangers acquired Pavel Bure. I was just learning how to watch TV with my dad, watching him scream. Why is his team so fucking bad with all these 90-year-old veterans they've got out there? I remember. It was the first day of the rest of my life is what it was. But for the first time in 2018, they were finally like, you know what? This ain't it. We have got to try something new. And we rejoiced. Mostly, the sane ones rejoiced. We're like, you know what? We needed this. Thank God. The era of compete is over. The core is aged out. It's time to start anew. And we bought into this, the fans. We were ready for this. We were excited for this. Dare I say, well, probably not the most excited I've ever been as a Rangers fan. That'll come a little bit later. But one of the most exciting times I ever had as a Rangers fan, thinking, holy cow, I'm going to watch prospects come out of our farm system that might be worth something, like more than being a bottom six forward or a bottom pairing defenseman or a straight up disappointment. Okay. I'm old enough to remember when Tim Erickson was the shining light, right? The guy that was going to be the guy. I remember when Michael Del Zotto, we thought he was going to be what Adam
the
Fox
knight in shining armor, Michael Del Zotto.
So it was exciting. It was bittersweet, right? Everyone felt bad for Lundqvist. The guy committed everything to the New York Rangers. He was everything. He was the New York Rangers. But by sending out this letter and committing to losing, we were kind of telling him, hey, this is it. We're not competing anymore. And it was bittersweet in that sense. And he felt bad for him. But for the first time in a long time, the Rangers made it.
Yeah, that was the only sad part about the rebuild.
Franchise. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? The franchise as a whole. So the Rangers system at the time, the retool rebuild kind of already started. I remember getting a haircut, my phone buzzing. I think I was a sophomore in high school, right? 2016 or it was 2017. Rangers trade Derek Stepan and Antti Ranta to the freaking Arizona Coyotes. I almost said Phoenix for the 7th overall pick and Tony DeAngelo. I still remember going into that draft, taking Elias Anderson 7th overall, and I believe it was AJ Nunn. How about a Rangers Twitter throwback? AJ Nunn was saying, God, I just hope they don't use this pick for Elias Anderson. We'll get into all the disappointments later. I just need to throw that out there. The Rangers also scoop up Philip Hedl, 21st overall.
Oh
the only other prospects of note, really, at that time that were like of actual note were
Ryan Kropp, Sean Day,
and Igor Shesterkin. Morgan Barron was in that system. You know, he came up later and then was shipped away because fuck him.
Oh my goodness.
Heavy, good defensive, responsible, third or fourth line center in the future. Why would we want that? Not gonna go crazy yet. We got time to go crazy. The system was epic terrible. All right, it was bad. The Rangers farm, even before drafting Hedl and Anderson, was horrid. It was terrible. Like it was bad. We had nothing to look forward to. Literally nothing. Every now and again, we'd have like a 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th Put your hands down. That's not funny.
Oh, fuck.
5th, 6th, or 7th round pick that would just come in and be like, and again, we'd have like a 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. Put your hands down. That's not funny. 5th,
My
6th,
bad.
or 7th
My
round
bad,
pick that
Nick.
would just come in and be like, oh, this guy's solid, and then just kind of just be a bottom 6 or bottom pair guy, and we were just content with that. But hey, that was the nature of the Rangers as far as I remember them. They had hits like Dubinsky and Callahan, Kreider for a while. You had guys, Stepan, Brady Shea, guys that would come through. I'm like, oh, this is great. But they were few and far between. Let's continue. The moves that followed the letter. Shout out every NHLtrade.com. I think that's literally the name of the website. Just every trade ever. You do it by GM, by team, by year. Pretty cool. Anyways, over the next 2.5 seasons, the Rangers sold off almost every veteran on the team in their commitment to building their new future. Over the 2.5 years, the Rangers would acquire 4 firsts, 3 seconds, and 3 third round picks.
Trade at the
Crop of B-level
top.
prospects. Say what you want, by the way. I don't
First
want anyone
trade
to sit here and
though
fucking play
in
pretend.
this.
We were hyped for Lindgren, Rykov, Howden, Hayek, and Goche.
Like
Crop of
I.
B-level prospect.
I
Say
don't
what you want, by the way. I don't want anyone to sit here and fucking play pretend. We were hyped for Lindgren, Rykov, Howden, Hayek, and Goche. Maybe not as much Goche. Actually, no. Probably a little bit Goche. Even though we were upset that Joey Keane was traded. But
Yeah, I remember being upset about Joey Keane getting traded. I vividly
Rykov and
remember
Hayek
it.
were legitimate B-level D-man prospects. Like everyone's like, at the very least, you are getting a number 4 defenseman out of each one of these guys. In the case of Rykov and Hayek, the ceiling might have been thought to be high.
Rykov. Oh my god. Yeah, I actually sold myself that Rykov was gonna be good.
I remember when the Rangers got Libor Hayek, it was like, all right, we actually got a really solid defensive prospect here. Like maybe a guy that could grow into a possible number 2 one day. Lindgren was the one who was like, yeah, you probably got a number 5 or number 6. And Rykov was like, you might have a good number 3 or number 4 here. We were all excited. Let's not sit here and fucking play pretend. It's not Halloween. All right. We're in January. It's January. It's not Halloween. We were all excited. We were excited for Brett Howden too. I remember these things. I was on Twitter at that time. I was active on Twitter at that time. We were all excited. So don't sit there and be like, I never really know. We all did. So shut up. All right, just shut up. Anyways, these are all the moves they made in 3 years. Really, like nothing you could be upset about. They did what they said they were going to do. Granted, would you have wanted more from Matt Zuccarello? Yes.
Yeah, that was the trade that
beyond me.
upset me.
The fact of the matter was, they were committed to rebuilding, and they did it. They traded their veterans. They traded their veterans specifically that were on expiring contracts. We're not going to talk about the Lightning trade, McDonough and Miller Lightning, because that was awful when they made the trade. But there was still excitement. They were committed to moving these guys in exchange for a future. We were just happy with that. The drafting. In 4 drafts, we picked 9 players in the first round. 10 more in the second and third round. Despite how they turned out at the time, we were all excited. This is the most excited I was for the future of a Rangers.
This is insane to read. That this, I don't know if my cursor's going to show, this bullet point is actually disgusting to read. Both these points here, absolutely disgusting. 3 of the first round picks remain. 2 players from the second and third rounds remain. And you have a third line forward, a third pair, probably realistically a 7th defenseman on a team that actually has aspirations of winning, a bust first overall pick. Who am I forgetting? Oh yeah, AHL superstar Brendan Othman, and although 2017 to 2021. So wait, Gabe's not in this, is he? Are we including Gabe in this? I don't know. Oh, Schneider, obviously, yeah. And another third pair defenseman.
You picked 19 players in 4 years.
That's what you have the show for.
Okay? 9 of them in the top 30. That's crazy. That is exciting. That is, at the very least, you are stocking the cupboards correctly. You are at least on paper doing what you're supposed to do. How it turned out, topic for discussion later. Maybe even another video if I record again tomorrow. Probably not. I don't want to get too excited for something that's not going to happen. But shut up. No one's excited for me. Shut up. We're talking. Anyways, lots of draft picks. They did it right. They acquired prospects. I just named you 4 prospects they acquired, right? And then on top of those 4 prospects, arguably at the time, all B-level prospects. Gauthier was maybe the only B- because of his age. You throw in an additional 19 players in the top 90 in 4 years. That is massive for a team that is rebuilding. That is absolutely insane. You're talking about adding a roster's worth, 23 players worth of prospects. It's good. It's exciting. The 2019 offseason. The first part of the rebuild was like, okay, hold on a second. The rebuild might be over. So only a year was just being asked. And when I mean asked,
I remember this offseason exciting me.
I watched them roll out John Gilmore.
Remember this offseason being so exciting.
In the top 4 nightly. Okay, I went through that. We went through that. We've been there. We saw it. We saw Spoon Sanity, where Ryan Spooner.
Spoon Sanity, baby.
Out here. Ryan Spooner. Vlad Demeskov. He's that guy. I remember this. The 2019 offseason rolls around, and everyone says, stop the bus. What are the Rangers cooking? They signed Artemi Panarin, the by far best free agent in that class. And that was a free agent class that held Sergei Bobrovsky, who I believe was coming off a Vezina trophy. They signed Artemi Panarin. They trade for, again, despite how it turned out, they traded and acquired the best defenseman available that offseason. I believe he was 25 years old at the time, maybe 26. But the Rangers acquired Jacob Trouba, the best defenseman available that offseason. They went out and committed to the best free agent, possibly the best player in available for trade, Jacob Trouba. Let's not sit here and say, oh, the only team. No, there was a lot of teams that wanted Jacob Trouba. It only came down to the Rangers and the Red Wings. And I think the Devils might have been interested, but I don't think he was interested in going there, which is why the Devils acquired PK Subban in that same offseason. Regardless, the Rangers were making moves. They took Kaapo Kakko second overall. There's your future franchise winger right there, Kaapo Kakko. Everyone saw what Kaapo Kakko did in the World Juniors and did in the World Championships. He had us all fooled. There was no other pick to make at second overall. There was a legitimate discussion.
Yeah, no, there was. You can't blame them for taking Kakko second.
At number 1 overall at one point.
Yeah,
let's not fool ourselves.
there
This
was
a legitimate thing. Kaapo Kakko, with his performance at the World Championships, put him in contention to be the number 1 overall pick. The New Jersey Devils were tweeting about Kaapo Kakko leading up to the draft. Rangers fans rejoiced when the Devils picked Jack Hughes and we got Kaapo Kakko. I'm old and dumb enough to remember this. We were all excited about this. He had us all fooled. Kaapo Kakko was not the wrong pick at the time. He was the right pick at the time. How it turned out, again, topic for a different discussion. Fact of the matter was, the Rangers had arguably a 1A, 1B draft where they got 1B. They got the best free agent available. They acquired the best defenseman on the market, the best trade asset on the market. And on top of that, they acquired the best prospect available that wasn't a draft pick, was Adam Fox, who was arguably a top 5, not in the NHL prospect at the time, if not top 3 with what he was doing at Harvard. And they got him. The 2019 offseason was hype. It was exciting.
This
it was,
fucking
wow,
hurts.
We might be somewhat competitive. We probably might not have a top 5 pick, but maybe
This
top 10 pick,
hurts.
but it was
I will never forget how excited I was after this offseason.
3 steps forward.
And then this season too, like, oh my goodness, yeah, just Igor coming up. Mika would have won the Rocket if he was healthy that entire year. Man.
The 2019-2020 season was like, whoa, all right, we did a thing. We went from bottom of the barrel to holy shit, look what we just did. Mika Zibanejad, had COVID not happened, was on pace for about 60 goals and like 110 points. 41 goals and 75 points in 57 games played. Artemi Panarin puts up 95 points in 69 games played. Adam Fox, as a rookie, gives you 40 points as a defenseman, something the Rangers had not seen since McDonough did it in the 2010s. Tony DeAngelo, say what you want about him. In 68 games, had 53 points and scored a hat trick against the Devils. We were all excited for this team. You had 2 offensive defensemen that were beyond capable. You had a 1A, 1B. We knew Adam Fox was going to be good. We didn't know how he was going to be great, but we knew he was going to be good. You had Jacob Trouba, who I believe had 40 points that year. I don't recall. Maybe it was 39, but was an excellent number 1 defenseman. Albeit maybe a slow start. He scores a goal against Winnipeg and is a little bit slow after that. But regardless, you have Jacob Trouba, who's looking like this is going to be your number 1 guy. You got DeAngelo behind him, a 50-point, maybe 20-goal upside defenseman. That this is like, wow. Despite off-ice problems, look at what we have here, a 50-point defenseman. And Adam Fox, who in his rookie year, you could debate at times was the Rangers' best defenseman. The flashes that Adam Fox showed in his rookie year, ridiculous. And through all of this, you have Igor Shesterkin, who is tearing apart for so bad that the Rangers decided, you know what, dude? Lundqvist, we love you. Georgiev at the time was excellent and seemed to be the successor to Lundqvist. Shesterkin was so good, we said, fuck it. We literally can't leave this guy in the minors. They call him up. He plays 12 games, goes 10-2, and puts up a .932 save percentage in those 12 games.
It was ridiculous.
What just happened? I just watched Sproul, Gilmore, and O'Gara go tit for tat, 1, 2, 3 in our top 4 to this. This is exciting. Now, granted, the Rangers get smoked by the Hurricanes in the play-in round, but the fact of the matter is, there was a layout to a future here. There was excitement building. You had your franchise winger in Artemi Panarin. You had your number 1 defenseman at the time, Jacob Trouba. You had your number 1 center in Mika Zibanejad. You had an exciting prospect in Adam Fox. Even though Kaapo Kakko had a disappointing rookie year, you said, you know what, dude, he's 18 years old. We'll get past this. You had an exciting future. You had Philip Hedl. You had Elias Anderson. You had all of these things building.
And then
up towards a very, very exciting.
And then what they freaking win from losing the play into.
Things coming. 3 steps forward. 1 step
Yep.
back. After a great 1920 season, they missed the playoffs in 2020-2021. And this is after another exciting offseason. The Rangers win the number 1 overall pick and draft Alexi Lafreniere. Oh, you thought you had 2 franchise wingers? Fuck it, here's 3. And they draft Alexi Lafreniere, who, again, had everybody fooled. There was never a discussion as to who was going to be the number 1 overall pick. There was never a discussion. It was Alexi Lafreniere's draft. What he did in the QMJHL, back-to-back MVPs. What he did in the World Junior Championships. There was no arguing who Alexi Lafreniere was and who we all thought he was going to be. Despite that, 6 games into the season, DeAngelo and Georgiev get into a bit of a scrap. The Rangers wave DeAngelo, and he's gone. Your 50-point defenseman, gone. Kaapo Kakko doesn't reach 20 points. So now you're 2 years in, it's like, yikes. Lafreniere scored an overtime goal against Buffalo, and that was about it.
And it took him, 9 games to get his first NHL goal, nonetheless?
Philip Hedl, I think he had 22 points. Cool. Kind of hoping a little bit more from the guy that was drafted 3 or 4 years ago. Like, hey, maybe he's just sneaking into the top 6. No. And his injuries began that year. So they called Vitaly Kravtsov. Hey, 9th overall pick a few years ago. We went off the board and got him. I believe Corey Proman, this is a guy you should fucking sit here and believe a word he says, goes, this is the number 1 prospect, not in the NHL. Now, him and Grigory Denisenko. He puts up 4 points in 20 games. Okay. Brett Howden, I think, had 7 points in 40 games. And Libor Hayek just looked like ass. All right, that guy.
Brett Howden only had an empty net goal, I think, versus the Washington Capitals that year.
Bad.
I remember. I hate that I specifically remember that.
Shit out of the Rangers. And the Rangers put out a letter like, this is bullshit. He's not getting sussied, all this crap. Gordon and Davidson are like, that ain't cool. And Rangers ownership says, "Oh, you don't think it's cool? We don't think you're cool. Fuck you. Kick rocks." And they fire them. Yeah, they fired the masterminds behind the beginning of the rebuild. They also fired their coach, David Quinn. Rangers fans kind of rejoice about that one. Still think it was the right move to fire him, but yeah, it's like
Tommy, what's going on? Puck Rock, what's going on?
Your GM's
Appreciate you guys.
Your coach is gone. Your second overall pick looked like shit. Your first overall pick looked like shit. Your number 2 defenseman last year, you just fucking waived because he got into a fist fight with your backup goalie. Your other 9th overall pick sucked. The 2 prospects you got for your former captain, number 1 defenseman, and arguably best U26 player, JT Miller, both look like ass. And you're kind of not doing a whole lot. What was that? This was a bad year. We were expecting something. But like all good things, we rebounded. And we turned it the F around. We hired Gerard Gallant, the finger tapper. The worst post-game interview ever, but the mother effer that righted the ship. Chris Drury has, in my opinion, a trash offseason. He acquires Ryan Reeves, Barclay Goodrow, and I believe it was Jared Tenorti he signed. So he wanted to make the Rangers tougher. He trades away Pavel Bushnevich, brings in Sammy Blais.
Yeah, I was going to say, don't forget Sammy Blais. Don't forget Sammy Blais.
Sammy Blais was fucking good before he hurt his knee. We all remember what he did, but it is, listen, it's what it is. It's fine. I still don't stand by that trade. It was a bad trade, whether Blais turned out good or bad, regardless. They bring in Gallant. They win 50 games. They go to the conference finals and go up 2-0 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And honestly, if they don't fuck up game 3, they're up 3-0 against Tampa Bay Lightning and already win away from the Cup Finals. From watching that series, I'm sure we could all remember, they looked like they ran out of gas. They looked tired. They were beat up. It happens. It happens.
Yeah, back-to-back 7-game series. Oh, yeah, Nemeth also, yeah.
It was a Hart nominee. Could argue Shesterkin should have won the Hart that offseason. I have an entire Twitter post about it. It's still, I believe, a pin post on my Twitter. Adam Fox.
Igor should have won the Hart. Igor should have won the Hart that year.
Winning back-to-back Norris as if Cale Makar wasn't just
I stand by that.
A fucking insane animal that year, okay? Chris Kreider scores 52. 52 goals. And all the worries about Kakko, Lafreniere, and Hedl go away. Because even after a disappointing regular season that they had that year, the kid line is born in the playoffs. And those motherfuckers go to town in the playoffs. The stat sheet might not have shown it, but we all saw it. We were like, all right, they figured it out. The kids are here. Not to mention Braden Schneider pokes his head in and he's like, holy shit. You've got Baby Trouba, which at the time was like a compliment to be called Baby Trouba. Nowadays, like someone, a name that we shall not name. Just a bad guy, a bad player, a bad this, a bad that. But back then, being Baby Trouba, you're like, oh, hold on a second. We got something going on here. This is sick. And then we go all in the next year. We're like, fuck it. Let's build off of that. We were like 2 wins away from the cup.
This year hurts the most because like say what you will about the 2 conference finals years. When they got Tarasenko and Kane and they went up 2-0 on New Jersey, I thought there was no way they're not winning.
2 wins,
winning
2
it all.
Players. Oh, we got this. Hats off to Drury and the Rangers breakfast. And I'm being serious. They said, fuck it. We're here. We're going all in. We're going to do this. They go out there and they acquire Vladimir Tarasenko.
And that's the one thing. Nick's right about that. That's the one time I actually applauded Chris Drury throughout his entire Rangers tenure, because that year I respected that he was like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. We're going all in on this group. We're going all in, and we are going to trade first-round picks. We're going to trade prospects and try to win a Stanley Cup this year. I could respect when you are aggressive. I can't respect what they did in 23-24. You can't sell me on that.
7 goals, 70 points. I could be wrong. They bring in Vladimir Tarasenko early, ahead of the deadline. Him and Nico Mikolo came in around, what? Was it before Christmas? Maybe a little after Christmas? But they shock everybody. They jump out ahead, use a first-round pick they got for Nils Lundqvist, another draft disappointment, but they get a first-round pick out of him, and they say, you know what? Boom, Vladimir Tarasenko. Suck on that. They bring in Tarasenko and say, hold on a second. Hold on a damn minute. If we finagle the right way here, we could do another thing. Patrick Kane has an interview where he's not exactly saying it, but he's like, damn, I kind of wanted to go there. That sucks I got Tarasenko because now I can't go there. Oh, old son, you're wrong. The Rangers bring in that same season, Patrick effing Kane. You want to talk about being excited? A team that just went to the conference finals last year, you effectively replaced Frank Petrano and Andrew Kopp, no offense. You replaced those two with Vladimir Tarasenko and Patrick Kane. This is like some NHL be a GM mode shit, bringing in those two and taking them into the playoffs. There was nobody that wasn't excited. We were all fired to F up. Not to mention, you also replaced Ryan Strome with Vincent Trocheck, perennial Rangers killer, who was having a sick year. I think he had 70-something points in his first year with the Rangers. There was nothing but excitement going into these playoffs.
I just remember talking so much shit going into the playoffs. Like, for all the talk about, I'm negative, I'm this, I'm that, go back to those streams talking about that series against New Jersey before it happened. I was talking so much shit.
They lose to the New Jersey Devils in round 1. Lafreniere, not a single point in the first round. Kako looked like ass. Heedle showed nothing. And Gerard Gallant is fired. Gerard Gallant, and I will be covering this if I make this other video that I really want to make some interesting comments before he's fired.
Tommy, I was off by 1 goal too. I said 4-1.
Makes a lot of interesting comments.
Or
maybe
3-1?
Dinosaur
Actually,
pointed at Drury, pointed at the room,
actually don't
and maybe the
remember
lack of
what I
commitment by
said.
some guys. You can't win on superstars alone, I believe was kind of what he said. But some
I
concerns
was
arise.
slightly off though too.
But as soon as they arise, everyone plays pretend again, and we act like they don't exist. The second turnaround.
Plays
The Rangers bring in
pretend.
Peter Laviolette.
Playing
And
pretend.
set franchise records. 55 wins, 114 points. They could do no wrong. You had 5 70-point scorers. You had Artemi Panarin put up 120 points. The only 120-point player in Rangers history was Jaromir Jagr, I think. I'm probably wrong about that, but I think it was him. I think it was him. I know it was Jagr. I just don't know if anyone else did it. I don't think it did. Regardless, Lafreniere breaks out. Scores
The reason why 22 or 21-22 wasn't painful because that postseason, I don't know. There weren't as much expectations going into it. Like, it was nice if they won a round or two. And then to go up 2-0, like, I get that sucks, but they weren't beating Colorado in that finals. Like, to me, that doesn't hurt. You could argue, you know, they win that series against New Jersey and they probably, you know, maybe they don't beat Carolina or maybe they, you know, don't beat Florida or Vegas, but that team was just, it's insane how deep that team was. It's insane how deep that team was.
28 goals and 57 points. Looks like the Lafreniere that we drafted and expected. And then this 6'9" fucking mutant pokes his head in for the Stadium Series, fights Matt Martin, and thus starts Remp Sanity. I didn't have another nickname, so I just said Remp Sanity. All right, Evan, I know you're fucking rolling your eyes. Shut up. Just shut up.
Wait, why'd he predict that? Why'd he fucking know?
All right. I didn't have another nickname, so I just said Remp Sanity. All right, Evan, I know you're fucking rolling your eyes. Shut up. Just shut up. All right? I know what you're doing. Remp Sanity.
Why the
We were
fuck
all
did he
excited.
know, man?
Okay? Again, let's not fool ourselves. This motherfucker came in and was a difference maker every shift. Everything he did was exciting. Him merely existing was exciting at the time as a Rangers fan. You had 5 70-point scores.
Yo, that's
a
so fucking
120-point
funny,
score,
though.
And
That is
this
so fucking funny that he predicted that
20-year-old's name
shit.
was the one that was being chanted every single night for the first time that the Rangers chanted on a player's name that wasn't a goalie since Sean Avery, probably, or Zook. Zuccarello. There you go, Zuccarello. But it's like a tough guy, like you know, the Rangers want to see someone beat the shit out of someone, lay a hit. The first one since Sean Avery. And we were pumped. And this motherfucker scores his first goal of the playoffs too, just to boot. Just to throw it out there. Hey, look what I'm going to do in the first round of playoff, first fucking shift, right? Scores a goal. The Rangers do have one mistake they make. And it's they don't go all in at the deadline.
Yep.
For fear of what they did the season prior with Tarasenko. Hi, come here, Holly. Here, why don't you guys meet Holly? This is my dog, Holly, in her fluffy little outfit. Sorry, little video break. You gotta take her back. I'm almost done, babe. We have a big day planned today. We're taking her for our first long walk. Regardless, they make their first mistake. They don't go all in at the deadline for fear of what happened with Tarasenko King last offseason, and they don't make the big move. They don't trade Capo Kakko or Brendan Hoffman to acquire Jake Gensel. Anyone remember those Ranger Central live streams about us talking about that?
He just had to bring it up, too. He just fucking had to bring up the fact that I sat in this chair for fucking days worth of live streams. Days. Jake Gensel watch. Jake Gensel watch.
I do. I remember freaking out about that. Despite that, they win 7 games in a row to start the playoffs. 7. Hurricanes made it interesting and almost won 3 straight to force a game 7. But hey, Chris Kreider and the Rangers come back and win. And they're off to the Eastern Conference Finals. They lose game 1. They win game 2. They win game 3.
Man, being at game 2 and freaking Barkley Cucho potted that 0-2 winner.
They tie the game late in game 4 and lose in overtime. They go on to lose games 5 and 6 by 1 goal and are eliminated from the playoffs. Hey, you know what? They just set franchise records. They won the President's Trophy. Panarin put up 120. You had 5 guys score 70 points. Lafreniere broke out. You've got the most exciting 4th liner in the NHL. You still have a Vezina caliber goaltender, and you've seemingly got the coach that fucking figured it out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, like, I don't know. As much as I just said 22-23 hurt the most, I lied. It was 23-24 because I said it at the time when they didn't go all in. They're pissing away their best chance, arguably, with the group. That I remember that that was where I said it. That was your chance. You're not getting as good of a chance. And they fucked it up. They fucked it the hell up. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Like, you can't be half pregnant at the deadline. Yeah. I feel bad that you had to freaking listen to that in your AirPods at the movies. I feel bad because I lost my mind. I lost my damn mind. You all remember probably. I sounded like a fucking toddler that didn't get his way. I'm not even going to deny that I sounded like an entitled, immature fucking brat that day. But it's because deep down in my soul, I felt at that deadline that was their best chance with this group. And they didn't go all in.
The very next year, the Rangers missed the playoffs. Going into that offseason, as many of you remember, there were some vocalists out there, myself included, who questioned some of the players in the Rangers. Those questions came out and showed. And the Rangers last year had one of the worst seasons I've ever seen in my life. Last year was the first year of my life I did not watch.
Yeah, I might score an NHL goal before Othman.
Just about every single game of the season. Last year was my first year of kind of taking a step back and almost decommitting myself from fandom. The New York Rangers, who for much of my life were my life. As a quiet kid in high school, only had a handful of friends. The Rangers and watching with my dad and my brother was what I looked forward to every single day. Taking my now wife to go see the Rangers was what I wanted to do for her. I wanted her to see and experience what this was about and what it meant to me.
Felt that.
And last year, it just
felt that
fizzled. There was no excitement. The team was boring. They didn't seem committed, and it just seemed like they were lost. Now the Rangers make moves that we would all consider were the right moves. They offloaded Trouba, the captain, the voice of the room, because clearly something was wrong. They move on from Capo Caco after he just couldn't ever figure it out. Caco it just didn't work. And you know what? Listen, it happens. They move on from Chris Kreider in the offseason. The player they acquired for Capo Caco, Will Borgen, they re-sign. They go ahead and trade for a veteran defenseman, Carson Soucy, and they also acquired JT Miller. Which, in hindsight, I think about like, okay, from Drury's perspective, this team just made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. He and the powers that be were like, you know what? We're only 365.
Nick now knows a Ranger game is a bad date idea. Hey, I did it last night.
Days separated from 2 wins away from
everything was good about it, but the game. Everything was good about it, but thankfully, who I went with, she's not a blue teamer, not an optimist. Yeah.
So let's just give it another shot next year.
We both just like laughed at it the entire time.
And this is including myself. We all kind of began to question. I'm like,
so you know what? It was actually a great time.
Why would you go out and bring in Miller? Why would you do all these things before the offseason when you could get a better idea as to where you sit and what you should do? But no,
I missed.
Kind of began to question.
What he said here.
What is he doing? Why would you go out and bring in Miller? Why would you do all these things before the offseason when you could get a better idea as to where you sit and what you should do? But no, they immediately re-signed Borgen. They traded a 3rd-round pick for Carson Soucy, and they acquired JT Miller and sent a 1st-round pick to get him. In the offseason, the Rangers do effectively nothing. They trade away Keandre Miller and hope that Carson Soucy is going to replace him. They don't acquire anybody for the top 6. They think that JT Miller is just going to come in and solve everything. And well, let's see how that worked out.
Hey, you forgot to mention too, Nick, Riley Smith last year.
They also fired Bobby.
Riley Smith.
Well, that brings us to today. January 11th, 2026. Not even 24 hours after the Rangers lost 10-2 to the Boston Bruins. Rangers sit second to last in the Eastern Conference by point percentage. Fox Shesterkin, your number 1 defenseman and franchise goalie, are on LTIR. Artemi Panarin is a pending unrestricted free agent. He's about to be 34 years old if he's not already. You've got $28 million committed to Zibanejad, Miller, Borgen, and Lafreniere through 2030. You see no growth from Othman or Perreault. You've got the worst prospect pool in the NHL. Am I even wrong in saying that? And you've completely lost the fan base. Even the most stingiest,
no memorable goals
of believers.
And yeah, how do you not go all in on the President's Trophy wing team? It was, I knew then and there they fucked up.
Yikes! There's nothing left to really hold out hope for. And that's it. That's really where I could leave this off. There's nothing more to say. As of right now, there's no more story to tell. This team sucks. It has no future. Where it sits right now, over 40 games into the season, we've already shown We are in no position to compete this year with the roster that we have. We
Nope.
also do not have the cap space to acquire anybody to change that this season. Your goalie's on LTIR. Your number one defenseman is back on LTIR. JT Miller either does not give a fuck or is playing hurt.
Or
Alexis
both.
Lafreniere is having probably the worst year we've ever seen him have. He looks like shit. He doesn't look like he cares. Mika Zibanejad looks good again, but doesn't look great. Panarin's a point a game, but he's about to be if he's not already 34.
And Mika's production means jack shit too.
And you
Means
don't
jack
really
shit.
have much to do with him right now. Are you going to re-sign him and run this back again next year?
Unless
Same
it makes
roster?
teams
Just
interested in
roster, a
him.
year older,
Means jack
and not
shit.
a year in the right direction in terms of growth, like a year of regression because these guys are getting older. You're kind of just in a bad spot. You've got an aging core. You've got no cap space, and you're committed to all these players, and all these players have no movement clauses
And you have no prospects.
outside of Lafreniere. Oh, Trocheck has a modified no trade clause. But the big ones, the ones that are going to be hard to move, Miller, Zibanejad, have full no movement clauses.
You have no prospects too. You have none.
So where do we go from here? I don't have the answer. I don't know. I think the only thing that maybe
And the sad part too is, the bullet point that we've seen no growth from Pro or Othman.
could have at least leaned in the direction of being able to salvage this was if the Rangers made a miraculous
Scary.
swing and brought in Quinn Hughes. But were we going to be able to beat Minnesota's offer without wildly overpaying? See what I did there? Probably not. But could they have? Yes. Would I have gotten behind that? It would have sucked me back in a little bit. Pause. It would have brought me back in a little bit. I would have at least pretended to be interested again. But as of right now, what is there to look forward to? It's not even like you're watching a team lose
No, like trading for Quinn Hughes would have been a
in
mistake.
entertaining fashion. You're
It would have
watching-
been a mistake.
You're watching like an old, decrepit train that just needs.
I
to be
like
fucking
Quinn Hughes for
decommissioned.
obvious reasons. He's world-class talent. It would have been a mistake trying to put another Band-Aid on this.
It's tough, and it sucks because I miss being a diehard Rangers fan. I miss
Not that I'm saying what they would have gave up is anything of value, because I do not care at all about what they would have gave up, but it would have been a mistake.
looking forward to getting in front of a camera after every game. I miss doing all those things, but there's just no passion to do it. If the players don't care, why should I? Why should we?
Yeah,
Why should we give
Felt.
them time, money, and attention? They don't care. Why
as
should
I
we?
gave them money last
And
night.
ownership for some reason believes in this GM. So because he believes in this GM, who must have some dirt on him, because if I sucked at my job for 2 or 3 years in a row, I'd get fired. So would you. So would any normal person. But hey, he's got it. So we just sit and wait. And that's my coverage of the New York Rangers post-letter era. That's all I got.
Yeah, great. That's a great video. Great video. And at some point, I'm going to make something similar where I do a retrospect on the entire rebuild and everything. I don't know how I want to format that just yet, but at some point, it's going to have to happen because train wreck, absolute train wreck. Man. Sucks. It's depressing. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very disappointed that this is where it is. Very disappointed. Yeah, getting Quinn Hughes just would not have changed. It wouldn't have done enough. Again, world-class talent. They're not a Quinn Hughes away. They're just not. You could have sold me on this 2 years ago. Now, no. Nope. They're too far away from contending again. It was hard to watch, though. Yeah, it was. Pause, but hopefully bi-weekly streams. It will be something like that. If I can. Again, I'll do my best to, but no guarantees on that. No guarantees, unfortunately. Hope some type of Met news comes out today, so we got a Met Central live stream later as well. There will be a Met Central live stream actually today because we're hearing more about Kyle Tucker. So me, Matt, Carson, I don't know if Andrew or Frank are going to be there from Mets Weekly, but we're going to do a live stream, I think around 3:45, if I'm not mistaken. Doing a little bit of Kyle Tucker watch. So not a guarantee he's going to sign today, but we're going to do a live stream doing that because at the end of the day, I mean, you got hope with them. You maybe got some with the Knicks. New York sports, though, what a fucking shit show. I mean, even then with the Mets, Yankees, every team, it's like it's hard to have optimism. I don't know, because I'm at least a little worrisome about the Knicks personally. Is it too early to drink? Drury probably would have not wanted to give up Kako Othman, a first round pick for Quinn Hughes 2 years ago. Yeah, that also. Drury clearly didn't have the stones to make the moves needed. It is crazy to think about. It's crazy to think about, you know, everything in my life, even just 2 years ago. It's not even long ago, but it feels like forever ago. Between that, personal stuff in my life, it's insane. It's absolutely insane to think about all of it. Anthony, what's going on? If you could post out the day before you do them, what time you'll be on, I would love to join when I'm on break. Yeah, I'll definitely. I don't know because I deactivated my Twitter, so can't really do much there. I don't know. I don't know how. Maybe on my community page on YouTube, I'll like announce if I'm gonna go live. The only thing is like sometimes like with today, I kind of just like last minute was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna go live today without any plans of it. So I do apologize there. Yeah, this team is not worth drinking, killing your kidneys, trust me. Yeah, I mean, I barely drink personally. Um, but I can tell you right now, I'll destroy my kidneys if this team ever won a Stanley Cup in a parade. Destroy it. Thank you, Hornet, though. I appreciate it. It is definitely depressing having to talk about, all of this stuff. Yo, what's going on, SP? Yeah, I've been doing better since I've stepped away from this. Definitely been doing better since then. Yeah, which has been nice, but it is nice still at the same time to come on here every now and then. I just couldn't do it anymore frequently. Unfortunately, it just was not it for my mental. Yeah, all in on Tucker. All in on Tucker. I appreciate that, SP. Yeah, I mean, even after this, I'll probably be going to the gym and everything. My friend invited me to the game at the Garden against the Isles. I'm sure you're surprised, but I'm not looking forward to it. All I could say to enjoy the game, just from again personal experience yesterday, just enjoy who you're with, and just laugh off how bad the team is. Just laugh it off, and you'll feel so much better about going. Because that's what helped me yesterday. Just openly laughing, enjoying who I was with. It's the only way to enjoy being there these days. I appreciate it, NYR for life. understand completely that you need to take care of your mental health. Yeah. And I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone understanding that. Yeah. Again, it sucks that it took a mental toll on me and it started to because I really enjoyed doing this for a while, but at the end of the day, I mean, even not just mentally, but like personally, um, it's been better. I've been able to focus on myself physically more as well, which is nice. Probably in the best shape I've ever been in. Yeah, I am off Twitter. I deactivated. I've said this for a very long time as well. Said that for a very long time. Scotty Bowman couldn't fix us. Yeah, start some fire Drury Chants too if you go to a game. That works also. Crazy after 22, we had such high hopes for a long window for this team. Thanks to Drury's poor asset management and bad contracts, the window's been slammed shut just 3 seasons later. They missed their opportunity. But that's what happens when you try to microwave a championship. Yeah, at least like also going to a road game is nice. Just getting to see another city and everything. I thought about going, but I didn't. You've been in person for both shutouts against the Islanders. That is tragic. That is absolutely tragic. Yeah, fortunately for me, I don't know if I'm going back to any more games this year. I openly laughed last night, and my girl was genuinely worried. She asked, "Why are you laughing?" Because this team is a joke. Exactly. Yeah, you just laugh it off. You laugh at how bad this team is. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Steven, Nick, Nico, Carson, Joe, all of them. I'm in a group chat with all of them, and they definitely helped me a lot when I was stepping away from YouTube and everything, and like just going through the shit at the end of doing this on a regular basis. And then Anthony too, even I'm not in a group chat with him, but off air, he's always DMing me on Twitter. Exactly. Yeah, you just gotta enjoy the people that you're with. That was the only thing I enjoyed about last night. And I know, like, I didn't want to give Dolan my money, but yeah. Yeah, the fire jury chance finally happened. And again, it's awesome that happened when I was in the building. That made me very happy. Oh, you live in Miami? Okay, that makes more sense then too. I mean, yeah, that's so cool that you and then where was the comment that Kayla, yeah, went to the Winter Classic. And I appreciate you, Ray, by the way. Um Having to watch clickbait Rangers Digest is tough to watch. It's all we got now. Yeah, I apologize that like I don't even know what's out there content wise. I have not watched Rangers content. The most I watch is Big Apple Hockey. And obviously, they talk about the league and everything. They do like the final buzzer they did last night, where it's just Rangers talk. I don't know what else is out there really, Rangers content wise, and I apologize that I packed up and left, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, too, just talking about this is so miserable. And this is the reality. Yeah, the community created has at least been the silver lining in all this. Predictions on deadline moves. I have no guess. I have no guess. All I could say is Drury will fuck it up whether he buys or sells. That's that's my prediction, unfortunately. Man, it just sucks. It just sucks that this is what it is. Because like what Nick said in that video really hit, really hit because it's just like I'm in the same boat where it's like, you know, grew up with not a lot of friends. And just like the Rangers were always the thing that I looked forward to on a daily basis, just watching with my brother, my dad. Um, that's always what I was excited for. Now, honestly, I've not even like paid attention to around the league. This team has really destroyed how I feel about watching the sport. Yep, this is it. That they need to rebuild, but Drury's not the guy. I appreciate it, Anthony. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, best shape I've been in physically. That I could definitely say, and mentally, definitely has been better. Yeah, this has like been the blessing though about doing this because never would have met Matt, never would have met Steven, Nico, Nick, Joe, Carson, never would have met any of them if I didn't do this. So that's always been the blessing about it. I'm gonna stay on for about 2 more minutes, go until 1:30, and then wrap this up. So any final comments, questions, whatever it is, um, yeah, definitely send those comments in. Also, someone asked before how you could keep in touch with me. The best I got is I did make a lifting account on TikTok that I want to start to be more consistent with. So if you guys want to follow me there, that's probably like the best place you could find me. The at is ev.lifts underscore. If you want to find me there, that's the best place to find me right now. So I'll type in the chat right now. So if you guys want to follow me on TikTok, I'd appreciate that support a lot. And yeah, that's probably the best place you could find me at the moment. Because outside of that, I mean, I've pretty much disconnected from socials entirely. Like I privated my Ranger Central TikTok account off Twitter. I have the Instagram account. I'm never really logging into it. So yeah, the best way to find me is on that lifting account, which I will be trying to post on more. I appreciate it, Kaylee. And yeah, it sucks because like, there's so many of you that I love doing these live streams for and everything, and it just like, yeah, it just sucks. Just sucks that this team is not worth talking about, most importantly. I appreciate this. NY or nobody. I appreciate all of you. Do some curls on the Ranger stream. At least it's something positive. Unfortunately, I'm actually hitting freaking legs today at the gym, which sucks. But yeah, maybe one of these days I'll do some workout stuff on a stream. I don't know. Should I do that? Maybe. Maybe I will. Just get a follow from your tattoo account. Appreciate all of you guys that are gonna follow me on TikTok. But all right, I'm gonna get going now. Guys, I really do appreciate all of you tuning in. Like I said, if you want to find me, the TikTok account I commented, lifts with an S there. ev.lifts _ You could find me there. Mets Central will be live later with Carson from Mets Weekly. Of course, Matt, my co-host there. You could find both of us live streaming there later, talking about Kyle Tucker. Hopefully he signs today. Hopefully it's with the Mets. And then in terms of this channel, I'll try to stream a little bit more often. I'm not going to guarantee, a set date and time. I'll try to post though on my community page when I do plan on going live. But I apologize if it ends up being last minute like this. But I'll do my best. Thank you everyone though for tuning in and watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live for the times that I do. And yeah, see you guys next time.